Baton Rouge. A great game, Greg, but an interesting game nonetheless. A lot of different things taking place. Some big surprises at my game there in Columbia, South Carolina. But let's start with Alabama, 38-14 over Wisconsin. An impressive win for the Tide. Offense just really seemed to be rolling on all cylinders. A lot of people upset about the rushing yards or maybe questioning the rushing yards. I have some reasons that I feel like that's not as big of a deal. But your overall impressions of Ty Simpson, Alabama, that offense against Wisconsin on Saturday, G-Mac.
Fantastic. I mean, 10-plus performance. Look, I didn't think Wisconsin would have a lot of success moving the football. Backup quarterback, lack of a real difference maker at wide receiver, an offensive line that was without the center most of the afternoon and was coming in banged up. Didn't even know if he was going to be able to go at all. So I had their doubts about them being able to consistently move the football, but I did think the defense would be ready to roll. I don't know if you saw it similarly. Like, I actually liked Wisconsin's defense from the front back, and I actually thought they were okay in the back end. And yet it made absolutely no difference whatsoever. I love so much how Ty Simpson's playing and how smart he's playing and how they're giving him more and more with the pre-snap checks and adjustments. It's just a lot to like with where this offense has gone in the last couple weeks.
I feel like this coaching staff too just has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. There's a little more intensity from them. I feel like, and not that there wasn't any before, but it feels just a smidge different. Ty Simpson goes 24-29, 382 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Carried the ball 6 times for 25 yards. Wisconsin's Danny O'Neal, 11 of 17, 172 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Ryan Williams back in the lineup, 5 for 165. Had an incredible move down the sideline. Showed you just how dynamic he can still be. And with Jeremy Bernard, and a couple of the youngsters, Greg, coming on now, this wide receiver core looks like one of the better in the league, if not one of the better in college football, based on what they can do down the field, what they can do in the intermediate game. And it looks like they're getting to be really on the same page with Ty Simpson as well.
Yeah, I think that there's an awful lot to like with what we've seen from the receiver core all season long, with the exception of Ryan Williams' absence and his inconsistency in the first week's game. But Jeremy Bernard's been fantastic. It's hard to get a sense for Isaiah Horton early. He just was a little banged up. But he provides a presence there in the red zone, and he's a guy that can go up and get it when you need him to. I mean, that double post throw and catch was off the charts good, and that was well covered, well defended. There's just a lot to like about what we saw this past weekend from pretty much everything offensively. The one question is the run game, the inability to manufacture a lot on the ground. But also sometimes you got to tip your cap and be like, yep, you know what? That group that we're going against, pretty dang sporty against the run. Big physical Big Ten team that is going to pride themselves come hell or high water on stopping the run. So sometimes you got to give some credit to the opponent as well.
I think the numbers in the box, too, just kind of based on the defense that Wisconsin plays, a lot of times are not going to be extremely favorable versus the run. So what do? You throw the ball. And it's what Alabama did. Tell me if you agree with me here.
And there were tons of checks. You saw how many times during the game, alert, 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 like Ty Simpson pointing to his helmet. It's because of run check. It's box count. Like, it's very, very simple. Like, it's a run. They call a run. They check the pass because of box count. Like, it's why they're doing it. It's great.
Well, and one thing, too, to me, this offense, I think people are going to have to realize that the extension of the run game is essentially a part of the run game. The running backs are going to have to catch the football. There's going to be a lot of times they're the primary read out of the backfield. They're going to screen you also. This staff has done it forever, as long as Greg and I have been watching them. So there are a lot of things that are going to go down in the box score as passing yards, but they're essentially run plays. And it's because they feel like whether it's alignment or a numbers game, it's going to give them a little better opportunity to create yards. And if you looked at it technically, some of that stuff you should just count as run plays anyway, just because of how it's designed and what it's meant to do. So it wasn't something that really concerned me, worried me. Heard a lot of people, saw a lot of people discussing it after the game. I don't think games have to be won a certain way. I think you play to win the game, and you take what the defense is giving you that gives you the best opportunity to be successful. And that's what Alabama did, and I thought it was a great day.
I think it was everything you could possibly have wanted. I guess that's what I'm struggling with. Like, what more did you want from it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, Like
It's the
what
same thing
did
with
you?
Florida fans that feel like they could go win 34-0, and it's like, yeah, we only had 210 yards passing. Like, it's just certain people feel like it's got to look a certain way, and it's just not the case.
Well, and Brian Kelly hit it hard on the head this weekend. Like you play to win the game. So like if for whatever reason they're selling out against the run, guess what? We'll throw it. If for whatever reason they're selling out against the pass, cool, we'll run it. It's fine. I mean, Lane Kiffin doesn't like running the football, right? But sometimes when they were playing that 3 cloud against them with 3 safeties over the top, soft coverage underneath, 3 down defensive linemen, he's like, fine, I guess we just have to run it out of it. Like he didn't want to, but he did because you have to.
Yep.
Like you take where the defense gives you, eventually they give you the game. That's just the way it goes.
Well, the same thing with Lane too. Go back and look at some of those early offenses before they had, say, Quinchon and whatnot. He'd put Elijah Moore in the backfield, motion him in, throw it to him in the flat, throw it to him in the flat, throw it to him in the flat, or just throw the underneath stuff, throw across or throw it out. If you're going to play deep and you're going to sit there and be able to check underneath you the entire game, he'll take it. And so I feel like it was a solid performance. I did think some things in pass pro still need to be cleaned up. There are some breakdowns by the tackles still every now and then. Like you said, though, it's a gritty group up front. They're going to give you actually a little bit of a different type of pass rush than you see a lot of the time. But good to see some of the O-linemen getting down on screens, tracking balls downfield, trying to blow people up.
There was some effort. I liked the effort up front. Like I'm not saying that. Look, Will Conformby's not going to all of a sudden have a good night's rest and wake up and be Anthony Munoz. Right? Like it's not going to happen. But I liked how they had tight end over there. They're kind of talking them out of it a little bit on that side. Like, all right, you play against LSU and Harold Perkins is breathing fire off the edge. That's going to be a concern. But it seems like they have a plan in place for it. The way they lined it up and handled it this weekend. And with backs on that side, talking them out of chips, making the DNs think about chips. Like they had a plan. While they didn't always do that, they gave the impression that they were going to.
Heck of a Munoz dropped by you here early in the show. Get one
It's
of the
all for you,
all-time greats
pal.
in. Appreciate that. I know the listeners love it. Some of the East-West run game, too, for Bama I thought was nice. Just doing different things to keep the defense loosened up. Still some design quarterback runs from Ty Simpson every now and then. So they're taking advantage of what they have, and they get to 2-1. Bray Hubbard, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a bounce-back game because he was better last week than he was against Florida State, but 2 interceptions, all over the place, making tackles, had 2 passes defended. It was a solid game from him on that side of the football, and I know something that, for him personally, had to feel pretty good after all the hell he caught week 1.
Yeah, I think it's great. And he did a good job with his eyes on a couple occasions too. And you watch him, he just has receiver-like hands, doesn't he? Like if the ball hits him in the hands, he catches it. I know that sounds simple. I know that doesn't sound like much. But how many times have you seen Bray Hubbard drop an interception? Like, I don't think it's ever happened, literally. Every single ball that's thrown in his vicinity, he gets hands on it, which is kind of a rare attribute the more you see it. And after seeing enough picks this weekend, it lasts a lifetime. There's not a lot of guys that are as sure-handed on the deep side as guys like Bray Hubbard. So pretty well done and pretty impressive.
Yeah, I thought you go back to just some of the things defensively, not really allowing that run game to get going for Wisconsin either. It was a solid day up front for Alabama's defense. We'll get into it a little bit more. We'll get to your calls on it, 800-239-9569. You want to get in. Talk more about Alabama's win against Wisconsin. Auburn gets the win 31-15 over South Alabama. A little bit of a lackluster performance defensively. Could not stop counter. Just did not fit it well, couldn't stop it. Kind of goes back to, felt like the Penn State game a couple of years ago again, where it was the same play with a little bit of a different look and a little bit of a different twist on it a couple times, but just over and over. And it was like Auburn didn't have answers, did not tackle in the alleys and on the perimeter very well. And something that worries you just a little bit because your next opponent's going to give you a lot of gap scheme runs, and a lot of them are going to be on the perimeter, and some of them are going to be +1 with the quarterback, and that's going to be a problem if you can't tackle those. Jackson Arnold goes 13-24, 142, a touchdown, no interceptions. He ran 10 times for 50 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Cobb, 119 on the ground. They did feel like they kind of went out of their way to get Eric Singleton going a little bit more in this one, G-Max. 6 catches for 65 yards, 3 catches for 15 yards. Just kind of wanted him involved, got him rolling just a little bit more. 39 for 195 on the ground for Auburn. So I mean, listen, I'll say the 77's doing things for Auburn that hadn't been done there in a long time. And 75's playing really good football up front, too. The tackles were kind of off and on. I thought Dylan Wade had his best game of the season at left guard. But Jeremiah Wright is just bringing an attitude and a demeanor that we haven't seen in an Auburn uniform in a long time. It's awesome to watch. It's great to see just because, as you know, with outside of Harsin, the other offenses that have been there since 2009, 8, I mean, it's been a lot of, RPO, east, west, sift, wall off. Like there hadn't been a lot of just fire off and see if you can move people. And not that that's what this offense really is at its core,
Right.
but it's good to see that Auburn has the ability to do that, and they've consistently now done it for a couple games.
Yes, and I think, and look, I think Gus had some real physical teams, but kind of got away from that as the game went along.
Yeah, 2013, they could move you. Like Greg Robinson.
As his tenure went along, though,
sure.
like that wasn't really who they became. It was a lot of smoke and mirrors in the late 2010s, right? It just wasn't. They weren't really a team that's going to all right, flat back, let's move somebody. And while I do think that there's a lot to like about what we've seen so far from Auburn, I continue to remain a little bit concerned about how much of the offense runs through the quarterback. And that's the only thing that concerns me. I really like so much of what I've seen so far. I really do. I mean that. Like if I'm an Auburn fan, I'm very encouraged. I'm very, very much looking forward to this weekend because this, I think, is a weekend in which things are going to have to get going. And you look at the numbers for Jackson Arnold, they're never going to blow you away. This was a week to me for them to demonstrate, all right, we've seen Jackson Arnold play very well against Baylor. We've seen last week them try to make a heavy emphasis on quarterback, getting them going, getting the passing game going. What else do we got? You know what I mean? What else do we have? Who else can we trust? How much can we put on everybody else? And how much can we take off the quarterback? And I was very, very encouraged by what I saw in this game. So I think this was a great building block game. It's not going to be sexy. It certainly wasn't going to be pretty. Offensive numbers kind of left a little to be desired. But I'm pretty excited about the fact that it doesn't feel so quarterback-centric today as it did a week ago, and especially 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a little more emphasis on the run game, and not just with the running backs, getting different players involved in the run game.
Right.
Kind of making that go just a little bit. Auburn only had 1 sack. They did have 7 tackles for loss, 7 of 13 on third down. 3 of 3 on fourth down, though, which this wasn't really a game where you thought that was going to happen and they were going to have to go there. But they end up going there regardless. And so,
do you agree with that though? Like, was there a point, especially in the Baylor game, where it's like, golly, I don't know, like quarterback scramble stuff, like that's just not sustainable. And last week, so much of the passing game.
You wanted to say, you're not going to make a living on this. And
right.
What's going to be the foundation moving forward? And so, I think anybody that watched that with sort of open eyes and not orange tinted glasses probably saw it the same way. Like, this is cool, this is great, man, this kid's good, but this isn't going to win 10 games.
Can't live
not
this
against
way.
this schedule. It's just not going. I mean, look at this weekend. We have more quarterbacks knocked out this weekend.
Yep.
I mean, the whole Austin Simmons thing over at Ole Miss. Lenore Sellers goes out for South Carolina. I mean, it's just these quarterbacks that are moving around. And I'm going to tell you the next thing, Greg, to talk about is you put Missouri on, you put Oklahoma on, you put Texas on. The amount of free runners that are getting hits on quarterbacks right now, I don't know what people are thinking. But, okay, John Mateer, like, you got guts, man. You got stones. Good. That's great. You can't do that for 12 games in this league and just sit there and let guys tee off on you. I mean, you let these linebackers, safeties, and DNs tee off on you in this league, you will not survive it. So that's going to be an interesting watch, not just how they run them, but how they manage things from a protection standpoint, because it's great to go empty and say, hey, we can spread you out in this snap, but certain teams are going to say, well, we're going to outnumber you, and you can't block us, so let's see what you do about it. And some of these quarterbacks are saying, well, I'll take the hit but complete the throw. It might be the last throw you complete for a while, if that's the mentality that you want to take with it. So you've seen it in a similar fashion.
Yes. And I think a lot of these teams, and look, as things move forward a little bit, a lot of these teams are protections. Everybody knows it. Everybody spent all off season on the first 3 games, first 4 games. Everybody spent all off season on them. So, like, they know their protections inside and out. The amount of times I'm seeing free runners and the lack of a, quote, plan for free runners is remarkable. Like, we had hot routes built into every single throw, whether they're built in or the adjustments. And I don't see it anymore. It's like, all right, be an athlete, make a miss. Like, all right, the one throw, like, all right, screen game. Like, okay, cool. Like, you better have a screen called. So at some point, like, it's time to assess, like, all right, what's the intellectual level of the quarterback and what's the blitz plan? Because I don't see enough of it right now in college football.
Absolutely. All right, so Auburn gets the win. Bishop Davenport, 18 to 26, 170 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick for South Alabama. I did think South Alabama had a good plan, specifically on offense.
I like South Alabama.
Yeah, I liked the plan that they've had in place and how they operated it. I thought it was fantastic with how they handled that. Jimmy in Hoover wants to chime in on Alabama's performance over the weekend. Welcome in, Jimmy.
Hey guys.
Morning.
That one touchdown pass we gave up, even going back to the days when you played, Greg, seems like we always, ZB had him covered out there on the corner perfectly. He did everything right. It seems like he just did not turn his head around. That seems to be a common back in Coach Saban. Is there a philosophy there? Is there something they're looking for as a DB because they don't turn their head? It looks like all he had to do was turn his head. It was an easy interception. You remember that play?
I mean, I just watched it from the coach's copy. It looked like it was a pretty well-placed ball. Like, are we all on the same page that was a pretty well-thrown ball?
I'll just say my response to that, and I mean, I know I am a lot. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck here. I've never done it in a game, but I feel like watching it, like covering guys, got to be pretty hard.
You think?
And I mean, you're running full speed.
So hard.
you're trying to judge when a ball's getting there by. Now, like if you talk to Muschamp or Saban about it, they'll tell you they watch the V of the neck, and then I think it's like the neck, and then maybe the hands or the elbows. Like there are certain indicators you're trying to watch physically on these receivers to know when you go attack the football. I had a long conversation with Coach Saban about this in one of the last games we did with them because I wanted to hear how he coached DBs, which I still think the wildest thing that nobody knows is like a DB is reading a receiver's hips off the ball. Like I would have never. He's like, yeah, you watch their belt buckle when the hips drop, they're going into their break. He's like, that's
correct.
That's your first read. And I'm just sitting there thinking, do you know how many millions of people watch football would never guess that and never know that? Like by the way, me one of them. I wouldn't have known that. I don't care what DBs.
I bet to say how many people look at that and don't know that and don't care. You
fair, but it's just an interesting thought. I just think this day and age specifically with what DBs are not allowed to do, it's just hard to cover, man. And like timing that thing up perfectly to know, oh, okay, the ball's here 40 yards down the field. Now I turn and then but I'll also try to locate football in air. Could be coming flat, could be coming back shoulder, could be a moonshot coming straight down over the top. Like you don't know. Your safety's not yelling over there and telling you what kind of ball it is.
Right.
Sky ball. I mean, you don't know what it's going to be. I just think that's hard.
Sky ball.
And, I mean, I don't know. Line drive. That's not real. So
no.
I just think it's got to be tough to judge where a football is and be able to go make a play like that.
I don't know. By that point, I was getting dressed, and I went back and watched Coach tape. It looked like it was pretty dang well thrown ball. So maybe the TV copy showed something different. Like to me, there's some balls that are uncoverable, and to me, there's some balls that are hard when they're perfectly dropped in the bucket, when they're perfectly placed. Like, yeah, okay, hey, do you want to just turn around and make a play? I think it's a lot harder as things are moving a million miles an hour to do that. I can't think of a lot of defensive backs that I've seen in my day playing man that are going to intercept deep balls unless the ball's terribly thrown. So if we're talking about the same throw, there down the left sideline, I didn't feel like that was one that was real easy for them to go up and try to steal.
I would also say not necessarily an Alabama problem. I mean, you're going to see that a lot of places. So
yeah, accurate quarterback problem.
Yeah, just not a ton you can do right there. It's just the reality of it. There's not a ton you can do in the heat hits either. And it was back this weekend. Make sure you're protecting your family with the home comfort system from Train. You guys have heard us talking about them here. Talking about Train Cooling Systems, they've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. They're the official cooling partner here at Jocks. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It's hard to stop a train. All right, we'll continue on with Alabama, Auburn, other college football from over the weekend, but Paul Finebaum set to join us next right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 7:24 Monday, September 15th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Going to go to the phones now. He joins us each and every Monday, thanks to our friends at Craneworks from ESPN, the SEC Network. You can hear him right here 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays. It's Paul Finebaum.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Paul Finebaum on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Finebaum.
Paul, always great to have you in on a Monday. Where do you stand right now on Kalen DeBoer and Alabama, this football team this season, after a pretty impressive win against Wisconsin?
I think he has done an excellent job the last 2 weeks of bringing this program back from literally the dead. So I'm feeling a lot better. I think there's a reason to feel better because Wisconsin was a far better team than Monroe, but what I really like was the state of play, the level of play at quarterback and other positions, and I think it puts them in a really good spot here in a bye week, getting ready for Georgia, and there's has to be a lot more thought put into it, especially after dissecting Georgia and Tennessee. But I think there's a pulse again to this Crimson Tide season.
It's kind of amazing, Paul. All is right in the world. Georgia shows resilience and mettle in a very uncharacteristic win for them. It's not often you see them just go toe to toe in a shootout and live to tell the tale. Usually, when their defense is sluggish, the offense is not capable of keeping up in a score by score manner. What did you learn about Georgia this weekend?
Well, I think it starts with the obvious, Gunnar Stockton, and it was easy, and I was easily critical of him, but I think he showed that he's capable of the moment. Everyone knows and will nod when I say that if you can go into that cauldron of 110,000 people in the frenzied atmosphere that it was and perform at a level that he did, growing up is no longer part of the equation. You've already done it. You've proven it. So I think everything else will get a little bit easier for him just in terms of the environment. And I just thought it was one of the great wins I've seen in a while in the SEC. I mean, it was so old. It was old-fashioned. I mean, it was. I can't imagine either one of those teams being able to stand up today. Even when they were losing battles on the line of scrimmage, it didn't stop anything from just a thundering physical encounter. So I came away. I felt really good about both schools. It comes down to a field goal, but in the end, Georgia's very much alive.
It's interesting you said that, Paul, because after I went back, watched it, kind of studied it, I think I felt better about Tennessee coming out of there with a loss than I did with Georgia, because that to me was the closest I have seen Tennessee to being physically even with Georgia maybe like the Philip Fulmer era, honestly. And that really stuck out to me. Where are you on Tennessee right now?
Yeah, I felt good about it. I mean, I'm afraid when the season's over, they may look back on those few yards that the kick missed on as being a determining factor of maybe getting in the playoffs or not. But I still think they are in great shape. They just have to turn a couple of games. But right now, I mean, you go down the list of the SEC from the top 5 or 6 schools, and it's almost impossible to figure out what maybe once looked like an easy win no longer does. So I like their position. I felt like that was a game they needed to get, primarily because they do have to go on the road to Alabama and Florida. It remains to be seen what that game would look like in late November, but I really did feel better about Tennessee, and I didn't feel badly about them going in, but 3 weeks into the season, I feel a lot better about them than I did in August.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, Paul, to look at the depth of the league. I'm not going to sit here and all of a sudden jump to some massive conclusion about Vanderbilt winning the SEC. I'm not going that far, but I think a team that, like Vanderbilt, can beat anybody, including Georgia, in the league this year. Like, I really believe that. So how deep do you think the, quote, championship contender pool is right now? Because, frankly, from some of the teams that are, quote, favorites, a la Texas, I see some problems. And from some of the teams that are, I don't know, quote, doormats, or at least traditionally have been, I see them as a problem for said championship contenders on an annual basis. So how many teams are really in this mix in your eyes?
I think it goes deep. It goes close to double digits because, quite frankly, you'll hear this a lot, but the league is about as wide open as I've ever seen it, and that's something that I think we know, but other people don't quite accept. That you go to the Big Ten, you go to other leagues, you've got the cream of the crop. In the SEC, that's what they like to used to say about it. But but Greg, I think we could objectively throw an endless number of schools into it right now because, I mean, Mississippi State has proven itself in one big game. Kentucky, to me, is one of the few schools that I would write off. I'll defer to Cole on South Carolina. I don't know what the health of Sellers is. That was a devastating loss, but you also know what they're capable of doing. And Auburn, to me, is a school that was hard to take seriously early on as a contender, but they've done extremely well to this point. The Oklahoma-Auburn game is going to separate those two. So if I had to say which school I had the biggest questions about today, it would be the one I thought was going to win the league 3 weeks ago, and that's Texas.
I don't think anybody would argue with you there, Paul. There are parts of that just don't look right now. We'll see actually where that ends up. Where is this going to end up with Florida? We saw 2 head coaches in college football relieved of their duties yesterday. Does Billy make it through the season? Financially, is this going to be one of those first tests of, no, we can't do this. We can't make this happen right now? Where is this going to end up in Gainesville?
Yeah, I think there's a difference in Napier's situation of Florida and UCLA and Virginia Tech. I mean, those two were self-explanatory. I mean, nobody was showing up at UCLA. The coach was a terrible hire from day one. Fry was done. I understand that. Just clear the deck. Give the team and the fans a chance to maybe have a fun season. Florida is been competitive. I'm not trying to come up with cliches here, but they did lose the game a week ago by 1, and the game Saturday they were in. So I don't think you just fire a coach to fire them at Florida. But I mean, I think the next 3 to 4 weeks are going to tell the story. This was often a stretch that we talked about. He had to split that 4-game stretch, and he's already lost the first. He already lost a game before the stretch even began. So I mean, I think if he can't win anything at the end of this stretch, and by the way, Texas right now is the easiest win of the group, then the season is effectively over, and then you decide you just want to make a change now to have it in cement, or is there a reason for a lame duck coach to continue to show up every week?
How attractive is that job? Like I'm not trying to like put Billy out. Like if they went and won this week, it wouldn't shock me. Like I really think they're close. I think their quarterback needs to get his head on straight. But I digress. Hopefully that can happen. He's a tremendous young man. I hope the best for him. But that was not good on Saturday night. How attractive is the Florida job kind of nationally? I mean, I know there's a few that would love to have it, but man, they've had 4 different head coaches since 2014. To me, it feels like a turnstile a little bit, and one that maybe it's not as attractive as it once was.
Well, we also had that conversation about Alabama and Auburn too, and it just takes somebody who really wants it. And I know that could apply to a lot of places, but you just don't need a big name going, hey, Spurrier won there, Urban won there. I think I can do that. It is a tough job. It's a better job than it has been at any point probably in the last 20 years, though, because facility-wise and infrastructure-wise, it's at the top. And that has never been the case, even when they were winning national championships. So I think that's always important. You don't want to go someplace and spend the first 3 years trying to get by dumpsters and construction zones when you bring recruits in. That's great. And quite frankly, I think the expectations there have been dumbed down. Billy Napier was given cheers after the last season what was their record? They lost 4 times. So I mean, 4 losses would have gotten Ron Zook fired, and did get Ron Zook fired, and McElroy and Mullen. So I think it's an easier job than it's been in a very long time.
Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us every Monday. Thanks to Craneworks. We've mentioned a couple of things about a couple of teams from a negative perspective. You're going to have Brian Kelly on your show today, and he is very honest with you every week and very blunt with you every week. I know you've heard it. They get a nice win against Florida over the weekend, but he gets some interesting questions and has more interesting answers for them. What did you feel was behind some of his answers after the win against Florida Saturday night?
I think emotionally, he just went through an incredibly difficult game, and Greg, you can attest to it better than the two of us. Um, and I think when you get the first question right out of the chute about something negative, it's going to trigger you. And I've always been one in the past, but I'm about to cross the Rubicon here. Because I've asked those questions before, and I've always applauded media, and I still applaud media for trying to get to the heart of the problem. But that was an inappropriate first question because there was a negative connotation after a really big win in a rivalry game that if you don't know the terrain, you are clueless on how big it is, no matter how you play and no matter what you accomplish. So I really I was entertained by his answer, but I also agreed with his answer. He didn't go Steve Sarkisian and try to make it personal. He basically just said, "Listen, we just won a big game, and you're asking me that." I thought it was a very good moment for Brian Kelly.
What about? I mean, but Paula, are you concerned? I mean, like I'm going to be honest with you. I understand very much as a member of a team that played ball control the clock, limit mistakes, allow the defense to shine, field position. Like I was on two teams like that. But it's a whole thing is the haven't/can't debate. They haven't been great offensively. It doesn't mean they can't. You know what I mean? They can't go score 35, 40 if they need to. So, like, does he have a real problem though? Whether he defended him or not and handled it the right way in the podium, I'm fine with. I was great with him defending his team. Probably did him a lot of good in the locker room. But is there a time to be a little concerned? And what time is that?
Yeah, well, I think in his mind though, and his mindset, he's had two really big wins. And I don't know what's deep in the crevices of their game plan. They obviously have not been explosive, and they're going to need to be much better at some point in time. But I think more than anything, he's trying to protect his team outwardly. Internally, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I mean, I think there's reason to be wondering, like, okay, what exactly do we need to do? We know one thing: we're not giving up a lot of points. That gives us a little freedom to play around with stuff.
Paul, we always appreciate the time. Look forward to seeing you later today, and have a great week.
Thank you very much, guys.
There you go. Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham hotline with us every Monday, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. We still have a lot to get into, a lot of college football. We just asked Paul about Brian Kelly postgame. If you haven't heard it, we'll play it for you next, give you an idea what that sounded like. You can give us your thoughts on it. I'll give you my thoughts on Gusty Goulis and the Gusty Goulis Group, because they serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. That's right. Since 2012, Gusty Goulis Group has been recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. You can trust Gusty's aggressive and proven selling system. He's got what it takes to attract hundreds of qualified buyers who want your home today. Gusty's got over 835-star Google reviews. Go Google Gusty Goulis Group today, see what people are saying, or call 205-542-1996, or go to gustygoulisgroup.com and start packing. We'll talk more college football next right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Listen online, jocksfm.com. The app is in the App Store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. It is 7:42, Monday, September 15th, right here on Jocks. Brian Kelly, after the game against Florida, after a win, comes out with this question initially that led to this answer.
What are you seeing with your offense?
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. What do you want me to tell you? I just laid it out for you. We played the game to win the game. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's some ridiculous questions, and I'm getting tired of it. That football team just worked their tail off to get an SEC win, and you want to know what's wrong. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect. How about that? Give them some respect instead of micro-analyzing every little thing. This is ridiculous. For a group of seasoned reporters, that kind of question is so out of line.
I do see some of the context with the question early on, G-Mac, how you take a real positive by getting a difficult win, rivalry game. Florida did do some good things in the game. I know people are just going to look at Lagway's numbers and say they were atrocious, but defensively I thought Florida actually played really well.
Heck yeah.
Thought Trayvon Ball ran the ball well. Thought Austin Barber and a couple of the guys up front got after it. Receivers made a couple tough catches. So they did play well enough to do some things that were going to give you problems in this game. But what are your thoughts to BK sort of reacting the way that he did?
Look, here's the reality is last year they're mad because the defense, or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they're mad because the defense wasn't doing what they needed to do to put forth a championship level effort. So BK goes and makes that side the priority. And now all of a sudden they're playing ball control offense, grind it out, win a little smaller, try to actually have some ball control, try to have some time of possession. This was the first game where they didn't have like a remarkable time of possession advantage. Remember, they possessed it for 37 minutes in the game against Clemson a couple weeks ago. I think Brian Kelly's frustrated because they didn't try to do to open it up. Like, they didn't need to. Like, outside of one really, really idiotic decision by their quarterback, like, they were in complete control of the game on the defensive side. Now, answer me this. If Florida doesn't have that holding penalty that wipes out the 90-yard touchdown or whatnot, would that have altered their offensive game plan? 100%. Down 10, guess what? We got to go get it now, boys. 100% it does. So I think this is a really good football team that can rise and drop with the tides. If they need to score, I think they can. If they want to play ball control, they can win that way. What do we always say? If we are starting our drive in Birmingham, Alabama, and our goal is to get to Miami, we're driving there. Let's just say Miami because that's where the national championship will be played this year. There's 100 different pathways to go. Right? And if the victory is at Miami, the start of the game is in Birmingham, there's 1,000 different routes. I can go over through Atlanta and straight down the highway. I can go down towards Panama City and run the gamut and then go across Alligator Alley. There's a million different avenues that I can take to get there. I think LSU has access to all those avenues, whereas some teams, guess what? Yeah, hey, you know what? I-65 South is closed. You can't go through Alabaster. Hey, you know what? You're going to have a hard time getting on 30A because for whatever reason it's backed up traffic-wise. There are some teams that don't have that many avenues. I think they do. So I understand his frustration because I think they can be a good offensive football team. They just haven't needed to be at this point.
They are 15th in the SEC in rushing. They are 15th in the SEC in rush touchdowns with 2. There is only one team that has fewer rushing yards per game than they do in the SEC, and one team that has fewer rushing touchdowns in the game that they do. And maybe that's one positive because it's the team they just played, and they held them out of the end zone from a rushing perspective. So,
but do you think they've also played 2 real opponents? And by the way, Louisiana Tech's got some guys too. If they play Penn State,
I'll tell you this: Louisiana Tech's defense.
Conversation.
Louisiana Tech's defense is fun to watch. They get after.
Yeah, it's a cool.
They got a couple dudes that can
scheme.
run.
And number 10's a player. Like, it's a cool scheme. Like, I like Louisiana Tech. So they've played 3 real opponents. Whereas, if you're playing Little Sisters of the Poor, your numbers are going to look great. Guess what? You also don't know anything about your team because you've gone through the motions for 3 weeks. So you play Indiana's schedule, you play Penn State's schedule, you play a couple other teams' schedule. Like, you don't know what you got. So I don't know. I don't really blame Brian Kelly for feeling the way he does, but I do agree. I don't think their offensive line is anywhere near what it was. And I don't like the rhythm and the tempo that they're playing with. I want to see a little more tempo. I don't want them to play so slow at the line of scrimmage. Like, I think they operate a little better with a little urgency, and I haven't seen enough of that this year.
Yeah. All right. So they when you look at them as far as rushing, first down conversions that they've had, it's only 5 on the year. So they've only run to convert 5 first downs all season.
We only had like 8 the other day.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting to just kind of see where things are from a rushing perspective. I did feel like they gave it a little bit more of an effort in the first quarter half, but still just not ideal, not great.
Where are you at with them?
Super talented, very dangerous on defense, very difficult to manage on defense. Have some guys who play into the scheme and system defensively.
Really well coached too. Like, they know how to overload protection. Like, I really like them. But
if they play somebody who can manage them in the slot, I think they're going to have some problems because the quarterback will still throw you the football.
You think?
He has made, I'm going to say, I think I counted 3 in the first game, and I think I counted 2 or 3 in the second game. I'm just going to say he's made 6 to 8 incredible throws this year, but they were only incredible because of how quickly the defender was about to hit him. So he had to duck out of the way, or he had to get rid of it quickly, or he had to sidestep and throw way before the route probably required it, but he put it to where only his receiver could get it, and it was an awesome throw. And as we talked about with free runners, him especially, that cannot continue. So I just don't love them on offense. I think they have some cool weapons. I think they have some guys that can play. I mean, it's going to be a problem to deal with one for anybody. Florida, they tried man, they tried to zone him. Like, it didn't matter. When they wanted to go to him, he caught the ball. And I will say this, Nussmeier will test the middle of the field. It's one of the things I love about Ty Simpson right now. Like, that kid will throw the ball over the middle of the field. Very few quarterbacks. Like, I haven't seen Auburn throw a ton of balls over the middle of the field. John Material will do it. He doesn't care. He'll throw it anywhere. I mean, he'll turn around and throw backwards if he has to. But it's just I just think that there are things that you could easily pick apart with this team, but at the end of the day, they won the game. So, and I do understand it had negative connotation right off the bat. I would imagine that there was something a little more deeply rooted between those two, as in that happens often, no matter what the situation is, and he had probably had enough of it. So,
well, you can't ask the question, hey, why can't you run the ball? Like, that's just a tool question. So I don't even know who asked it, but I don't blame Brian Kelly at all. Okay. I really don't. Tell me if you're in that locker room and he defends you like that, how you're feeling.
No, I feel great about it, and it feels justified because we won the game. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and hear more from SEC coaches as the show continues next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:55, Monday, September 15th, right here on Jocks. Appreciate you tuning in. Listen online, jocksfm.com. App is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You download that for free. GMAC, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, it's a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home packed up and moved, your company headquarters moved across the country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call, visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovieservices.com. It's crockermovieservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Movie Services for your next move.
Next hour, we get to your feedback. We take your calls, 800-239-9569 if you would like to get in. You can text in 205-834-9450. Tweet in at Mac and Cube to be a part. Auburn, Alabama, your thoughts there, not only on what they've done the past few weeks, but what lies ahead for those two programs. Get to the rest of the SEC, couple games nationally we also need to discuss. But we interact with you in the next hour. And then coming up after that, Todd Blackledge at 9:20, who was on the call for Texas A&M Notre Dame. Tyler Watts at 9 o'clock, his thoughts on Alabama's offensive explosion against Wisconsin, all coming up next right here on Jocks.